Hi there, welcome to Terraland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Capricorn energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Capricorn. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy. We all have this dualistic nature of free will. We all have our more worldly nature. And to various degrees, we can be shadowy, which can be our fears and our insecurity and our pride and our ego and our lust and our greed and our lazy nature, and the list goes on. But in high vibe, it would be more motivated and inspired to let love and intuition guide you and have learned to not make decisions more out of your fear and your insecurity and your codependency and stuff like that. And some people refuse to do that. Some people, even if kind of their intuition is telling them, that wasn't just and fair, that was rude, that was bossy, that was immature, this would be something you'd really love, they just will not listen to their intuition. So shadowy energy in any zodiac sign can be that people are, prideful, defensive to love, might not feel they'd be able to pick themselves back up if they did love and it didn't work out. And other people might have more practice, so they're able to pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and move on eventually, right? And other people just aren't willing to take that leap of faith. Capricorn energy is earth sign energy. It can be about what we view as victorious and successful. And shadowy Capricorn is represented by the devil, which we can really get caught up in these things of the world and make our life so much about either things that we think make us look like we got it really going on in the world, whether that's we're indulging in things and look at all the things I can indulge myself in, or to the degree that I indulge in these things, or being more about ourself or money or status or image is like the driving factor in life. Even if that means being in relationships or careers that you don't even love, or that you enjoy. It's just more for how it looks by worldly standards and how it benefits you, but for some people, it doesn't have anything to do with love. And people are all over on the spectrum, so we're going to try to cover that. And you know the different people in your life, and you know who's more shadowy and who's not. So, in the top row, some people work through. The bottom row can represent some of their fears and insecurities. Some people work through those things. They're moving forward in life a little differently than they used to. Some people in their life might be happy living their life the way it is. And, sometimes we're not motivated and inspired. We're fine with our life. We're kind of happy with it, have our fears, have no interest in going to some different stage of life. And we all kind of move forward. And because how we're living our life, at different times we can start to not be happy with it, or we feel inspired to move forward differently. So I'm sure you'll figure it out as we go here. The reason for the top rose reading is the Five of Cups, which is Scorpio energy. And sometimes we have some people in our life that we're trying to move forward. And sometimes the reason we even got in that relationship is because something else didn't work out, right? The Five of Cups can be that we're sad that some other job, friendship, or relationship didn't work out, right? Sometimes, though, we're trying to move forward with people and we have kind of worked through and kind of seen the truth and accepted the truth of why some of those relationships didn't work out. And though we could be sad they didn't work out, they worked through it, they're ready to move forward in life differently. But we can get in relationships with people who are also sad, and that could, or just that we were looking for a new friend, new relationship, new job, Other people haven't worked through it, but they could try to present themselves like they've worked through it and they're ready to kind of move forward differently. But for some other people, we could harness our Scorpio energy differently. And some people want to do more deep, meaningful relationships, and some people don't. But shadowy people, so, again, shadow can represent all these different things. I'm maybe a little more bossy, or I'm a little more immature, or I'm a little controlling, or I'm more materialistically motivated, not love motivated. But they can try to present themselves as more motivated by truth or love, justice, fairness, that they're more grown and mature than they really are. And then as we go through a relationship with them, we kind of find out that's not the truth. And we can be sad because we had wanted it to work out. But, if we feel like people, because I view high vibe Capricorn as the King of Pentacles, which can be how people present themselves in the world. And everybody can present themselves like, I'm this just and fair and stable and grounded and emotionally mature person. And then you get in a relationship with them and you find out that isn't the truth of who they are. They are more emotionally shallow, superficial, got these issues from their past that they haven't worked through. Um, and you just real or you could meet people and initially it can seem great and it could have been great, but what is that certain thing that like that makes a friend kind of turn more into a best friend, and someone that you date be someone you want, that you have that special connection with, to have a more involved relationship with, right? Everybody can feel sad about issues that have happened way in their past, throughout their life. It's just that the high vibe people don't let the devil keep them stuck. They don't let other people in their life who were unjust or unfair, unloving or abusive, make them give up on themselves and give up on their dreams. And they keep, that's high vibe Capricorn, they keep putting in that work and effort to free themselves of things that manipulate them, to deal with the truth. Some people were more immature. Some people were lovely. We just weren't on the same page. Some people aren't in our life anymore. But, they keep putting in that work and effort. In the Six of Pentacles, it's Taurus energy, and, it's our philosophy of life. And the people whose philosophy of life is, I'm going to deal, I've had to grow up and mature myself, and I did, to whatever degree I've grown and matured myself, right? I mean, if I'm 21, I have the emotional maturity level of maybe a 21-year-old. Kind of normal. I've learned some of these lessons in life. I don't want to repeat certain patterns. So high vibe Taurus is our philosophy of life that we have, and our character and our integrity and things like that. And again, we can be sad that we can get in relationships with people who, in their Taurus, Capricorn, and Scorpio nature, we thought they were people who would act more with character and integrity. And maybe some people didn't. And maybe in their Capricorn, Taurus, they were less about love and either more about them or things they like to indulge in to make them happy, or the status, ego, and image. And some could have been more inflexible. Some of them could have been more full of themselves. Shadowy Taurus and Capricorn and Scorpio can cover a lot of ground. So let's go see what these cards say down here. We have the Chariot, the Queen of Cups, the Empress, but then we have a card not showing itself. So there's been different things in our life that we have moved forward with at different times in our life. And right now, there could be things that we're moving forward with in our life and people in our life. And when we had gone through some experiences in the past, Taurus can also represent workplaces, friendships, and relationships, and marriage. We all want to, the Chariot is Cancer energy, which is emotional water sign about love, which is the opposite sign of the zodiac wheel of Capricorn. Some of you can be very loving, and we kind of go out on these extremes, and Capricorn could go out on the extreme of being a very loving person, and it's then about getting more grounded in their Capricorn energy. Other people could have been more caught up in the world and more about victory and success, And if that's their job or these things they wanted to manifest in the world, those things of the world could have kind of more manipulated them and was more of a priority in their life than maybe listening to their intuition and equally balanced between these things of the world that they wanted and listening to their more loving nature. And they could have moved forward in some relationships that or focused more on their career where they kind of feel like they could have missed some opportunities in love, and maybe they got in some relationships a little more influenced by the things of the world than listening to their intuition. But we all could have been in things. The Chariot talks about moving forward in something, and it seems emotionally balanced and victorious and successful. And in the Queen of Cups, you know, with people in our life that I view the Queen of Cups as Scorpio energy, people that, we could have thought we were going to have this deep, meaningful relationship with. And, maybe for a while we did. There's no guarantees in life. That's kind of how I view Scorpio. Scorpio is we're all going on this journey in life to learn these lessons. And, are we willing to kind of take those leaps of faith in love? And we know that not everything we take action towards is going to work out the way we want. And that is part of going on this journey of exploring the mysteries of life emotionally, which is what Scorpio energy is about. It's kind of being willing to kind of go on the roller coaster of life versus just staying on the merry-go-round. I want to experience these things, and I'm willing to take those risks to do that. And then in the Empress card, which is Libra and Taurus energy, so this is Taurus, this has Taurus and Libra represented by the scales of justice. We could have moved forward with some things that we thought. The Empress can talk about giving birth to something new, and it can also talk about love. And Scorpio can talk about love. So we move forward in something, hoping to give birth to something new in that job and those friendships and those relationships or a marriage. But then there could have been something here that we could harness this energy differently with some people, and we didn't know that. What is it? The Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups is also Scorpio energy. Sometimes everybody has the best of intentions, but again, how do we like to maybe harness our Scorpio energy? A more shadowy Scorpio can be that we have this certain way, and that's kind of what the bottom row can represent, is that we have this way of living life and viewing life, and we're happy living our life that way. It could make us, we love it. It makes us feel stable and grounded. We view it as victorious and successful. And that can be a more shadowy Scorpio, like, I want to keep doing that. And so some people reject the Seven of Cups. The Six of Cups is kind of making peace with the past. And then we offer love to the past to be able to have this new beginning in the Seven of Cups. And then we move forward in something because we have kind of worked through some of those regrets of the past, and we're ready to move forward in life a little differently. But some people kind of have a way of living life, and, if they've been in certain friendships or relationships, or even how they grew up, like with their parents or their family, they could like that kind of relationship dynamic. And it's kind of like wanting to recreate that relationship dynamic or interact that way because that's kind of their comfort zone. To step outside their comfort zone, Scorpio can talk about the fact that we find it confusing. Like, I don't like to step out of my comfort zone. I have this way. Taurus and Scorpio are both fixed sign energies, which can be, this is how I view it, this is how I like to do it, I like this, I view this as just and fair. And of course, if there's people in the world that like to live their life a certain way and they have their viewpoint in life and how they view how to interact with people in a workplace, a friendship, a relationship, they of course think that's just and fair. They like it. They of course think everybody else will like it and you should move forward with me and let's do it like that. But the problem is, we don't have it on the table yet, but Capricorn is also represented by the Three of Pentacles. And that would be like, I have my truth, you have your truth and your dreams and aspirations. And then the third pentacle is kind of like that common goal that we're working towards. And if I'm going to work with someone, it's not like to get out of one marriage or one friendship or one relationship with different people I've been in and then just want to substitute someone else in there, And I was like, let's do it like that. It is about working together cooperatively out of love, that when we're going to work with anyone new, it's not going to be like it was. But so some people could have a hard time with that because some people could have kind of those illusions that you're going to think and act and respond and do and behave and react just like other people I've been in a relationship with. And like, I want to do it like that. And it's like, but that person isn't in the relationship anymore. You know? I mean, it'd be kind of wild if you imagined if you had a best friend and then that best friend moved and then you get a new best friend. And yeah, you can like doing some of those things and those activities, but you have to realize if you're getting in a friendship and relationship with someone else, they're not that same person, and then they could have their own things that they enjoy, that they would like to go do, that they want to invest time, energy, and effort into, that they think is just and fair. And it's this thing of compromising. And some people have a harder time compromising. Shadowy Taurus that anyone can harness can be that they're a little more stubborn, a little more rigid, and no, you should do this and you shouldn't do that. And it can go all the way to the extremes of, if you were to look at all the different religions of the world, you should dance. No, you shouldn't dance. You should listen to music. You shouldn't listen to music. You should wear pants. You shouldn't wear pants. You should, cover your hair, not cover your hair. It's kind of, Taurus can be all these different rules and regulations of what kind of people think is right and wrong. And it can represent religious beliefs and differences that people have culturally, ethnically, religiously. And we could all love those different things that are kind of in our philosophy of life and how we view life. And we kind of think maybe other people are going to enjoy those things and those philosophies of life, and some people don't. And some people wanted to give birth to maybe a marriage, and maybe some people found out that some people still haven't worked through some issues in their past, or worse yet, you could have been moving forward in a relationship with someone who you thought was ready to move forward or was more motivated and inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness, and then you kind of realize they were just creating an illusion. And so, again, there's a lot of different reasons why different things in our life didn't work out the way we wanted. The high vibe people know to offer love to themselves. Three cards of love. I'm going to offer love to heal, in my Scorpio nature, the fact that some people I love aren't in my life anymore. Some people I love kind of have these illusions. Some people are in relationships with other people. And I'm going to love myself enough to offset my own fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs with love. That takes a lot of work and effort, is what Taurus can talk about, the component in the Empress. But I don't want to stay confused. I don't want to stay sad. I have to deal with the truth, and I need to learn to love myself. And that could be part of what some of these experiences were about, was to get us to do this work, to know how to maintain kind of both. The Chariot and Libra can talk about maintaining balance within yourself. Can we have friends and family and people we're in a relationship with that can help us maintain balance at different times in our life? Yes, but hopefully throughout our life, we kind of learn to maintain balance within ourselves instead of kind of tipping out of balance and kind of getting maybe too much up in our head or too much in our emotions and too much up in our fear or anything like that, or repeat poor past patterns that, you know, I don't want to repeat some patterns of the past. I want to see the truth about these situations, see everybody is where they're at. Some things did work out. Some people are going to be moving forward with me. Some people aren't. And basically, kind of, I'm not going to give up loving myself and giving birth to what I want to give birth to emotionally, which is kind of giving birth to your dreams, right? And if that's not other people's truth and they want to do other things or whatever, I accept the truth of it. And I could view the Seven of Cups can talk about viewing someone as like a choice in love. It's like, no more going to be in a relationship with people who might be more emotionally shallow, superficial. I can get to know people, and while I'm getting to know people, I could have a fear that some of those people could be creating an illusion. I'm going to keep getting to know them to kind of figure out if there's someone who is more in shadow. This could be more about ego and image and money and materialism. That's more what they love and what drives and motivates them. And if I want to be in a more balanced, just, fair, loving relationship, I need to maintain balance within myself. I want to be in a relationship with someone who knows how to maintain balance within themselves. If they are more about themselves or ego or image or being more superficial and shallow, try to manipulate or control people, maybe with things of the world, or like to be, some people you can get in a relationship and stay in a relationship with someone for a long time because can be people who come across as very loving and nurturing and encouraging, and in a lot of ways they are, but it can just be that they're still more motivated by the world, maybe more codependent. They don't ever want to become more independent of living their life, maybe more from their mind than their heart. Uh, could like to be in relationship, enjoy relationships, but it's really more about being in a relationship, maybe for the stability, maybe for the security, maybe for the status and the image, but just feeling like it's not really love authentically. And then if people had gotten in a relationship because they had been sad and something didn't work out and they move forward with someone else, which some people are doing right now, um, until those people get to know each other well enough, if it's a more kind of mismatched relationship, just like you found out, some other people will find out, and some people could be finding out, that it's never going to become a more deep, meaningful relationship. Because in shadowy energy, people can be operating from their self protective, defensive nature, which I like to be in relationships. I want to be in a relationship. I might want to get married, all these things, but I don't really want to more authentically do love. And I kind of view the sevens as kind of the tipping point into you're kind of more about yourself and your self-protective nature or these things of the world, or you're more tipped in favor of having more hope and faith and belief in yourself and in others and in love. And sometimes we were in a mismatched relationship. And the other people, you know, we live in a world of duality and people got free will. And some people decided what they think is just and fair is to live life from their more worldly nature. If I do love, I could get hurt. But I do want to be in relationships and maybe get married and all those things. I'm just not willing to do love. So eventually other people can feel like they're missing an opportunity in love. Can there be a lot of things they liked about it? And, again, the people could have been kind of like loving and encouraging and supportive, and there could have been stability. It looked victorious and successful. But it's kind of the illusion of love. People who are motivated and inspired by love freely give of themselves lovingly. They enjoy giving of themselves lovingly. And other people don't do that. It's kind of more of from their mind. They've known people who are loving. They know how to act loving and encouraging and supportive and encouraging. But it can kind of feel like people are more like having sex with you than having love with you, if it's romantic. And it has all, we can really be tempted in it because it, by worldly standards, looks very victorious and successful and just and fair. But then we could feel like we're missing an opportunity in love, or we were in relationships with people who hadn't worked through some issues of their past, and then they might look, instead of having learned these lessons in life, to offer love to the situations and love to themselves and maintain balance within themselves. They can get more tipped out of balance, and then they could operate and take action in their life more out of pride or ego or immaturity or stubbornness or wanting it to be indulged or be more about them. And we just kind of realize some people haven't learned to work together more cooperatively from love because they haven't learned those lessons yet. So whether it's a job, friendship, or relationship. So some people weren't going to kind of keep being stuck out of balance and confused and maybe kind of heartbroken or live a life of illusion. And they did this work within themselves that I want to walk my talk and live my truth. And if this isn't their truth and they're not working with me anymore, or they're not in my life anymore, or whatever the case is, their truth is different than my truth. From the 7 of Cups down to the 5 of Cups is the 2 of Cups, which is Cancer energy. I can have love for people and I can move away from them. So this is the reason for the reading. If I know people are more about the world and I'm more motivated and inspired by love, what we love in our Cancer energy, which is again about what we love, is different. There may be more about the world or doing things the same. Don't want to give birth really to anything new. And I am inspired to give birth to something new. And I am ready to move forward. They're not ready to move forward. I wish them peace and love, and I offer love to the situation. But maybe at one time we kind of were on the same page, but as time goes by, we can not be on the same page as people. So even though we're sad, we go up to the top row and we have the 3 of Pentacles. Oh, this 3 of Pentacles is different. Oh, but there's a 3, that we put in, high vibe Capricorn, we put in that work and effort to free ourselves from things that manipulate us. And you could have known some people that Maybe you felt like they harness shadowy Cancer energy, which in the Five of Cups are looking at the Three Cups, which is Cancer energy. People who present themselves as being more motivated and inspired by love, but you could feel like they use their emotions manipulatively. They don't have to be a Cancer sun sign. Anybody in the Cancer energy within themselves can use their Cancer energy in a more shadowy way. Just like people can use their Scorpio or their Libra or their Taurus or their Capricorn energy in a more shadowy way. And there could have been people in your life that you wished were more just and fair, that you wished were more loving, but some of those people, again, had this way of living life, didn't really maybe want to be more just and fair, like a more imbalanced relationship, where again, you kind of have to keep indulging them in a relationship and you don't think it's just and fair. And for a long time, you can do that because you don't want to leave them behind. But eventually, it's like, I don't like staying in a relationship where I keep being confused. If I'm offering truth and love and treating people in a just and fair way, eventually I've got to see the truth. If that's not how they're working together with me, they apparently have a different philosophy of life about what they think is just and fair of how to treat people in a relationship. And I kind of get out of my ego about it, that I don't enjoy working together with you. I might not want to take your inventory and tell you all the things that I don't care about you, but how about I'm going to distance myself? How about you go try to find some other people to get to love you, that you want them emotionally to kind of indulge you, but you don't want to be just and fair? How about you go try that out with some other people, and maybe you'll find some people who don't mind that kind of relationship. Sometimes if there's somebody who's bossy and controlling, there can be other people in the world, maybe because the bottom row can represent repeating old patterns, that's kind of their comfort zone. Oh, I like to deal with bossy, controlling people. That's my comfort zone. And, you might, like letting those people, like, I'm going to let you go find someone else to behave that way with. But I feel like I offered truth and love to people for long enough to try to move it forward in a more just and fair and balanced way. Apparently, that wasn't their truth. Go do what you want to do with whoever else you want to go do it. And I might not view you as someone I want to be in a more involved relationship with anymore. So then we have the Three of Pentacles, the Strength card, the Seven of Pentacles, the Hangman, the King of Swords, the Death card, Judgment, and the Ace of Wands. So, if we do get out of one friendship or relationship, with our free will and having to make decisions in our life, if we chose to date person A, we probably didn't date person B, right? And if we got out of certain friendships and spent more of our time with other people, we didn't hang out with some other people. And we might kind of realize after we go through a life experience that, well, for one thing, maybe I wasn't working more with other people. I do want to go work more with other people. We can kind of get caught up in our life and our relationships or our job, and we put a lot of work and effort into those things. And then when those things don't work out, then it can be a little weird to kind of go back out if we weren't kind of maintaining kind of that balance in our life while we were in those situations. And it's to kind of go back out there and kind of love and believe in ourselves enough to go try to invest in that and kind of get that aspect of our life, because it could have been imbalanced before. But also, this could be saying part of it is we go from the Three of Pentacles to the Seven of Pentacles, which is taking back the Four of Pentacles. And there could have been a way of living life, viewing life, feeling about ourselves, things we could have been indulging ourselves in, a way of viewing the world, people in our life, that the Four of Pentacles can talk about, that we were kind of holding on to it and not willing to move on from it for quite a long time. But eventually we did. And then in the Strength card, which is Leo energy, and I view that again as if I've been trying to offer love and encouragement to other people to work together with me in a just and fair way, and they're not doing that, I'm going to start investing. And the Seven of Pentacles talks about investing. I'm going to start investing in me and my foundation. And also, I view High Vibe Leo as kind of giving yourself the things that you wish other people would have given you. Being like your own best mother, father, coach voice to get out of being sad, to love and believe in yourself, to get more balance within yourself, to have new beginnings in your life. And this process kind of emotionally of detaching from this old foundation or an old way of living life. And sometimes it could be just that we were indulging in things, we viewed life a certain way, we thought that was just and fair and would make us happy, and some of those things we indulged in didn't quite pan out the way we thought. Just like you can start whatever it is that a person could kind of abuse, if it's drinking, food, whatever. You can think, oh yeah, I'm going to go do that, that'll like make me happy. Or I'm going to hang out with these people, I'm sure that'll make me happy. Whatever it is, we kind of find out that, oh, no, that maybe wasn't aligned with my truth. And also, I could have been looking to things more in the world or other people in the world to love me or make me feel better. And really, it's kind of doing this work within myself to love and believe in myself instead of being more codependent on outside things to make me feel better. Looking for long-term, feeling more stable and grounded within yourself. And then as you do that, in the Hangman, it can talk about you start to look at life differently. And if you were more out of balance before, your life was more out of balance, when you're doing these things to get your life more balanced, which is what the top row can talk about, you could be more just balanced within yourself, investing in yourself, loving and believing in yourself, feel like you're living more aligned with your truth, investing less time into people who don't seem to be more just and fair and loving. And as you do that, it just gets you more connected in maybe with your feelings, because the Hangman is Pisces energy, which is about our feelings and our intuition, and also about your dreams and thinking about your dreams, because you might want to invest in a new beginning, but we don't want to repeat this old pattern. So there's always going to be people in the world that can have some shadowy ways of being in the world, right? And we kind of got caught up in some people who we could have felt were more shadowy. And the Hangman, kind of like the Leo card, which is also represented by the sun, is kind of looking at life differently than you'd looked at it to see the truth of maybe what you weren't seeing. Because if there was people kind of creating an illusion, well, what didn't I see? And part of it could have been if you kind of, again, we can really want to give birth to these things in the world that we want to manifest. And sometimes it kind of tipped us more in favor and being influenced by those things than maintaining balance within ourselves and loving and believing in ourselves and listening to our intuition because we really wanted to manifest those things. But now it could be, if I don't maintain balance, and even learning the importance of maintaining balance within myself, and we could have seen how we were kind of repeating an old pattern, and sometimes we're trying to change other people, and quit trying to change people if people show you kind of the type of person they are. But we could have all, because the fives talk about change, if you're someone motivated and inspired by love, you would think if you get in a relationship with someone and you love them and you're being just and fair and you're putting in work and effort, you'd kind of think, isn't that everybody's idea of the dream life? But for some people, again, do I maybe want to stay in the relationship with you? Yeah. Do I really want to more connect in with doing this work within myself to look at life differently and work through my past pain and heartbreak and my fears and my insecurities or my self-limiting beliefs? No. And so they could want to keep moving forward, but they want, in shadowy, the hangman could be, I will stay in it with you, but I don't want to look at life from any other perspective. How about you be more just, fair, loving, motivated, inspired by love? And I'm more, again, about the world. And this is good for my ego and my image, and I could like you or I could love you. I want you to stay at this job, but oh, by the way, I kind of have shadowy empress can be people who kind of think they should be indulged in a relationship in some shape or form, emotionally, more deferred to. It's a little bit more about them. And some it's more their way or the highway. It's just people don't know that sometimes until, you know, you try to get them to try to see things from your perspective sometimes and you realize, they just don't. And sometimes it's just this different philosophies of life that people have. And, sometimes we can work through those things. Like, say, if it was some religious differences, right? Hopefully we can love each other enough to accept that people do look at life differently. And, say, I guess where I live, there's like a lot of Lutherans and Catholics are the big thing up in where I live. And, with some of those, we can accept that. And so you might have some philosophical differences than I have. I have some philosophical difference than you have. With some people, whatever those differences are, we can work through those. With some other people, it might be like, no, that. And again, some people are more invested in wanting to be in a relationship, more about the ego, the image, the status, the money, the materialism. And for quite a while, shadowy energy can talk about that we kind of don't want to see the truth. And then as time goes by, we kind of become illuminated to the truth. And that's when we can feel stuck in a relationship because, again, there's a lot of things we like about it. Same way, what if we take a job and some people present like, oh, yeah, you should come work here and we're really encouraging and supportive. And then you take it and then you find out some people anyway, or significant people you have to work with, are much more stubborn and egotistical or immature and or lazy and want everybody else to do the work, then you feel stuck. But they were people who were trying to present themselves maybe like they were more mature than they were. So, and some people in our life are, and we work through those differences, and we even, are loving and encouraging to each other when we could be going through difficult times to help each other look at life from different perspectives and expand our perception of ourself. That's kind of hangman. Expand our perception of ourself and how we view the world and what we believe is possible. And, it all does kind of start in our mind and our imagination of what is aligned with my truth. What are some of the dreams that I have, for my life? What are Pisces can talk about what are the things I find emotionally fulfilling. Sometimes we've made our life so much about other people, just like parents can with children or people who are in a relationship, that we've kind of lost touch with what would I find emotionally fulfilling. And you could know some people that, whether it's their friend group or their original family or whoever, it is all about, because shadowy energy can represent all these things that manipulate us. And some people have other foundations in their life that is kind of where their primary loyalty lies. And some of those people, it's not even to live their more authentic life. Practically, if you were to ask them, what are some of your dreams and what are some of the things that you would find emotionally fulfilling? It's just like, what? I make my life about the world or what these other people tell me to make my life about. you know? I'm disconnected from my Scorpio nature. Haven't learned to love me. I let people that I'm in relationship with manipulate me. We can know people that are very manipulated by things. They might not feel like they are, but we could come to see the truth that they have a lot of things that manipulate them, and they're just not even connected in with their own emotions, their own feelings, and some of them don't want to. And again, it's kind of hard to have a more deep, meaningful relationship with someone who is disconnected from their own emotions and feelings and have a lot of things that manipulate them, that keep them maybe stuck. But, you know, just like we've probably known people that have been in friendships and relationships, it's like, why do you keep staying in that friendship relationship? And we might have had people tell us that at different times in our life, because we could have felt stuck about maybe speaking our truth. At the end of the story, we have the King of Swords, which is Libra energy, the Death card, the Judgment, and the Ace of Wands. Part of going through these experiences in life is to help us get more clear about our truth, help us work through some regrets of the past by possibly getting in some relationships with people who could remind us of people that we have some unresolved issues with. And they have some of those same traits and characteristics that we kind of didn't even know kind of emotionally manipulated us. And that's why we can be drawn and attracted to certain people, because it's like replaying it, but with different people. Like, if somebody grew up with an alcoholic parent, no, I am never going to get in a relationship with an alcoholic. Well, then they can end up getting in a relationship with an alcoholic. One, because they do know how to work with people like that. Another, because there's some unresolved issues about it, and it's kind of can keep us in our ego. Like, I want, I could love those people, and then in turn, I want them to love me. And with this card, also, because the Empress talks about love, but with Libra, it also talks about justice and fairness. It's like replaying a relationship dynamic with someone who, that's what Scorpio can talk about too, is things kind of buried beneath the surface emotionally. We didn't feel like we got justice. So sometimes we'll get in relationships with people who have some of those same types of traits and characteristics that kind of subconsciously remind us of some other people in our life. And it's kind of like we want the justice. We want it to turn out the way that we wanted. But a lot of times it will not turn out the way we wanted in those situations, because those people have their truth. If they're bossy and controlling, they've decided it's just and fair to be bossy and controlling. If they're stubborn and prideful and it has to be more about them, then they're stubborn and prideful and it has to be more about them. And we kind of don't get the justice we wanted. And that's when we might kind of see the truth that, oh my gosh, I've been repeating a pattern. I don't want to keep repeating that pattern. I'm going to offer love to myself to see the truth that I have been drawn and attracted to certain people who could kind of remind me of people who I had love for at some point in time in my life, that I always wanted a more just and fair and loving relationship with. And you could have put in, now that maybe you're an adult, or before maybe you were a child, you put in this work and effort to be just and fair and inspiring and loving. And through that process, you kind of appreciate what you bring to the table and kind of realize it doesn't really matter what, with some people, what you bring to the table, because they don't want to work together with people in that kind of energy, because that's not the energy they align with, or just not very loving people. And so we kind of see through the illusion, and that whole process helped us learn to love ourselves and let go of that wanting to repeat that pattern, because we kind of saw the truth of it. It helped us look at life differently, and it could have forced us to stand up for ourselves and what we think is just and fair, and stand up for ourselves and view ourselves as a more just, fair, stable, grounded, loving, mature person. And why, if I am in that energy, why would I go get in relationships with other people who aren't in that energy? You know, if they're more stubborn, if they're more prideful, if they're more immature, if they're more whatever. Why do I not stand up for my loving nature to speak my truth to people who I think could harness these energies in a more shadowy way? It's like, I wish you peace. I hope that works out for you. And in the death card, it's like, which is Scorpio energy, our truth is different. If they're more emotionally shallow, superficial, cold, defensive, bossy, controlling, whatever. That's not my truth. And I'm detaching from people where our truth is different. I can't have my dream come into reality with them. If I'm motivated to work together with people, being loving and encouraging and supportive and cooperative, I need to work with other people where that's their truth. So if that's not their truth, they can go do that with someone else. And I've emotionally detached. And then the judgment, it's kind of like the judgment sets you free in the Ace of Wands to go have a new beginning. Can we be sad? Yeah. But we're inspired within ourselves that I have something I want to give birth to, and I fear, the bottom row, again, kind of represent our fears. I can offer people truth and love and encouragement, but I can't make people do this work within themselves to love and believe in themselves, to get more balance within themselves, to quit being more manipulated by the world or their ego or their defensive nature. And as some people I've come to realize in the Tower card, they're quite unstable, but they wear a very good false mask. And or they're people who want to invest their time, energy, and effort into other people. And they could be perfectly lovely people, and we just have to accept that they're in relationships with someone else, want to be in a relationship with someone else. Then I think that's just God trying to show me, because God knows my truth, God knows their truth. I can keep staying sad, or I get out of my ego, love and believe in myself, that God knows everybody's truth. If that was meant to work out for me, it would have worked out. So I'm inspired to keep offering myself that cup of love to kind of go on this adventure and see what God's got planned for me. And as you're moving forward, you could meet some people again. It's kind of like, if I'm offering people truth and love, and that doesn't, that's not enough. With some people, enough is never enough. You have to make it more about me. You have to indulge me more. It's just like, well, that's not just and fair. I will go find some other people in the world who might appreciate what I bring to the table. And I am sure there are other people in the world who will appreciate some people who are treating them the way they like to be treated. I treat other people the way I like to be treated. I work together with people cooperatively. I temper my ego. I'm willing to invest in people. I'm willing to try to see things from other people's perspective. I'm inspired in the Ace of Wands to hold myself accountable, but I've also learned to hold other people accountable. Where that could have been a valuable lesson that I learned in this experience is that everybody has to be willing to hold themselves accountable. And if, as I move forward in any friendship or relationship, maybe now moving forward, when people do act in ways that, or they want to be in a relationship with someone else, oh, okay. I accept the truth of it, wish you peace, I move on. People start to be more bossy or controlling or manipulative or stubborn. Okay, thank you for showing me the truth. I'm not going to stay in denial of the truth. And sometimes loving people, they know they're just and fair and loving. They work with other people, and the other people are like, ah, this person is like, acting in ways that, it's like they're hoping to confuse people. You're being just and fair and loving. Yeah, that's not my truth. But I think just and fair and loving people put a lot of work and effort to try to make a relationship just and fair and loving. So I'm going to be kind of stubborn and prideful or rude or manipulative or bossy or controlling. And you'll be kind of confused why I'm acting like that. And so then you keep putting in work and effort to try to make it work. And, like you find it confusing. Why are they acting like that? And now people, it's like, no, I don't find it confusing anymore. I used to find it confusing, but that was when I didn't, probably had a hard time accepting the truth that not everyone is motivated and inspired by love. And I accept in the Tower card that some people are shadowy and manipulative and do all these shadowy things in a relationship to try to get people to indulge them in their shadowy ways of being. And I've already learned that truth, and I'm not doing that anymore. And I will hold you accountable for your actions, and I will move on from you, and I will be sad. And then for those people, people who've kind of done that kind of dumb shit all their life, and say you meet someone who's like 40 or whatever age, 35 to 45 or older, and you go somewhere, you're out somewhere, and then somebody acts like that, you could have had a new beginning, maybe with the Seven of Pentacles being Taurus. You could have moved to a different town, you could have gotten a new job, whatever. Just meeting new people. And then some people kind of act, in these kind of ways that it kind of makes it annoying to have to work with them. And you just see the truth of it, and you kind of mentally take note. Thank you for showing me the truth of who you are. Yep, I will not be investing as much time, energy, and effort into you as I might have been to want to get to know you, because you showed me the truth of who you are. And then for those people, it can be shocking. Like, I have had people here for 10 years before they seem to give up on me. It's like, yeah, but I've already got enough people in my life, and I've went through this with other people. I don't need to pick up more people who are shadowy. If you show me you're shadowy and you're prideful, you're rude, you're stubborn, you're full of yourself, yes, thank you for letting me no longer in denial of the truth. No longer going to try to change people. And I will move on and invest again, go be loving and encouraging and inspiring to maybe some people in the world who will appreciate it. And then those people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they just like that. Like, I could tell right away that they noticed it, no denial, no confusion. And I guess if those people decide that, well, gee, they were kind of just and fair, and maybe I should have worked with them more cooperatively. Well, if they're willing to call judgment on themselves and temper themselves, again, would we rather get along with people in our neighborhood, our community, our workplace? Yes. But they did already show you the truth. And, if that's not how you treat people at whatever age you are, they did show you the truth. It's already noted and accounted for. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Capricorn energy? that they might not see coming up. The Eight of Cups. Why? Because of the Chariot. Because you loved yourself, the Chariot is Cancer energy. And also, if I didn't mention it earlier, Cancer and Capricorn are on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel, and we kind of go on these journeys. We could let our heart more run our life. We could let our more worldly nature at times run our life. And it's about getting more balanced within ourselves, that they're equally important. And when we let our heart run our life, we weren't being maybe more practical and grounded. And it was kind of maybe us having to compromise our truth, and then we had to maybe get more balanced in our between our emotional nature and our loving nature, and because we want a mix of both. That's balance. And we have to realize that some people, again, are kind of more tipped out of balance, and they want a more tipped out of balance relationship. If someone's more bossy or controlling or immature, they want someone equally out of balance to be loving and giving and supportive to them. And you could have been that kind of person, kind of like the narcissist empath paradigm. And you want a more balanced relationship from love. But you can be just and fair and loving in your harnessing high vibe Capricorn, Taurus, Leo, Pisces, Libra, Scorpio. But you're holding yourself accountable, not indulging yourself in poor behavior, and you're not going to tip out of balance to indulge other people in poor behavior. And they have to take accountability for their actions and maintain balance within themselves and temper their egoic nature, because you're probably not looking for anybody to indulge you. You want a just and fair relationship. So you're moving forward in an emotionally balanced way. You gave yourself what you wish other people would have given you. You're investing your time, energy, and effort into people who seem to have been enlightened to those same truths and hold themselves accountable in that way. And those are the people you're moving forward with. The Eight of Cups moves away from the Seven of Cups. No more illusions. People are either more independent of their more being about themselves or these things of the world, to move forward in a more balanced way, which is what you find more emotionally fulfilling. But if that's not their truth, that's not their truth. But their truth isn't your truth either. So you go enjoy your life, and I'm going to go invest in my truth. And then I think I will be happy instead of sad. And from the Five of Cups to the the Eight of Cups is going to the Nine. Realizing you didn't, as you go through this, that the Four of Cups can talk about feeling like you missed an opportunity in love. You can't miss an opportunity in love with people who really haven't taken that cup of love within themselves to align with love. And that's what you come to realize. And from maybe the Eight of Cups, the Five of Cups to the Eight of Cups, there's some people in your life that you could have love for, but you're not going to work together with them from a more of a foundation of love. They could be a social acquaintance. They stay in the friend zone, something like that. And for the people who are just kind of immature or shadowy or whatever that you've come to know, yeah, you see the truth. You don't operate from the same emotional foundation. And can you still know them? Yeah, but you're going to invest more of your time, energy, and effort into the people who temper themselves to not act in more shadowy ways. And I think you'll be happy. And I think as you do that, other people know you could go indulge yourself with people or in things, or be more about indulging someone or someone indulging you. If you wanted to be in a relationship, just to be in a relationship. And it's like, I don't want that kind of relationship. And there's other people in the world who don't want that kind of relationship. And some of those people, as you're meeting people, other people are meeting you, and the people in your life who you could be getting to know, they will want to move forward with you just like you will want to move forward with them. And if there's people who do approach you, but you think they harness this energy again in a more shadowy way, where it's people trying to present themselves as more motivated and inspired by love, but it could be more about the ego and the image, and if this is a good investment and victorious and successful for them in some way, you're going to walk away from them. You've learned the difference. You're no longer an illusion. You know everybody's not motivated and inspired by love. And that could have been a really sad thing to just accept the truth of. And now as you get to know people, you're standing up for your more loving and inspired nature. And not just anybody gets to move forward with you. They have to detach from living more from their mind and their more stubborn, prideful, worldly nature if they want to move forward with you. What's coming up for the people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy they might not see coming? The Five of Wands, the Knight of Wands, and the Three of Pentacles. Why? Because of the devil. Well, the Knight of Wands is Sagittarius energy, which is about higher learning and education. And then we have high vibe Capricorn of the Three of Pentacles and the devil, shadowy Capricorn energy. The people who have inner conflict about being inspired to put in work and effort to free themselves from their shadowy nature, they could always think, of course, other people will have a hard time freeing themselves from their more shadowy nature, which can just be, I want to be more immature. I want it to be more about me. I want to live more from my mind than my heart. Other people work through it. And some of those people are like, they're kind of getting the message that other people have freed themselves. And then it kind of could make them wonder, why do I keep repeating an old pattern? Why don't I give birth to something new? Well, part of it is they'd have to work through probably some things within them and outside of them that emotionally manipulate them. You have to deal with the truth. That's like high vibe Leo, the sun. I have to be willing to deal with the truth because shadowy energy is, I have mental conflict about dealing with the truth or emotional conflict, whatever. They might not want to see that they're kind of competitive, that they're maybe kind of immature, that they're maybe a player, that they're maybe more materialistic. Shadowy people can like to view themselves as much more just, fair, stable, grounded, enlightened people. But there can always be other people in the world that are more enlightened than they are, right? Could they be very just and fair and loving and encouraging people? Sure. But then if they come in contact with someone who is more high vibe energies, being more independent of the world, willing to shine your more authentic light, being less manipulated by your fear and your insecurity and your ego and the world and other people. Well, then it kind of illuminates, which is like the tower moment, that they view themselves as high vibe, but it's just like you could view yourself as, and we've all experienced it probably at times in our life, where we just think, or these nice people, whatever. And then someone comes in the group or whatever, and it's like, wow. And of course, everybody has their personality type, and some people are just more ooey gooey with everybody, and some people are just much more whatever. But it can illuminate that, wow, they're either more bold and brave and confident in a nice way, or they're just very loving and nurturing. It's just like, wow. Well, we can either use that to inspire ourselves to, wow, that person motivated me to think about, why am I not more bold and brave and confident within myself? Why am I not more loving and encouraging and supportive? But again, everybody's got kind of their own little personality traits of how they interact with just everybody in general, right? But some people, can just decide, we don't want the people around. So in the tower, We want to get rid of the people who hold themselves or who are inspired to be more independent, because it kind of illuminates that we're more codependent, and just that they could make their life, that shadowy Taurus, more about conforming to the world, or that they're more inspired to be more independent and more do love, which love is supposed to be just and fair, and a shadowy Taurus relationship can be where it's a little more transactional, and one person is kind of the more privileged person in the relationship, because people feel like whatever they bring to the table is more important than what the other person brings to the table. So say somebody really values, because it's really important to them for their ego or their image or something, to be in a relationship with someone who looks a certain way, like physically, well, then they could defer to that person because they really want that person to stay in their life for those reasons. Other people, it could be money or status or power or social clout or something like that. And then those people could think they should be kind of deferred to if you want me to stay in this relationship. And if you don't defer to me, that is the way I view life. I am not willing to look at life from any other perspective. In my more shadowy Taurus, worldly Capricorn view of life, that's how I view relationships, which the Devil card looks just like the Lover's card, except in the Devil card, the people have chains and shackles on them. And it is being kind of chained to this more worldly philosophy and competitive. And the Knight of Wands can be about indulging someone. And the Five of Wands is in their Leo ego nature. Not working with people more cooperatively from love. Can there be love there? But it could be a more codependent relationship than really treating other people the way you like to be treated, and maybe more for these worldly reasons than love. And I think they're always surprised when other people are willing to give up these things of the world, or them, because some of them can be quite full of themselves, because they could look like they have the status and image and justice in the world. And they could think if they have that, people shouldn't love and believe in themselves enough. They should, that's what they count on, is for people to get in a relationship with them because of those reasons. And they're seeing that other people are moving on. And they realize that that person is like no longer an option. That person has detached. So now they're going to go try to find someone else to repeat this pattern with. And they'll go invest in the competition. And they'll start it all over again. They'll either try to go find another loving person, more mature person, to try to trap. It's kind of the hangman, get someone stuck in a job or a relationship with them, hoping if they get that person to move forward with them in a new beginning, or take that job, or get in a friendship, or marry them, that even when that person finds out the truth at some later date, that they'll be too tempted by these things of the world to walk away, that they won't love and believe in themselves enough. And that's up for those people to decide. Some of them will, some of them could be right now. Ultimately, they'll be more surrounded by people who are more like them. Other people who indulge each other in the game. Oh, you have more status or image than me, or you have more power or money than me. You have more social clout than me. And it's like playing by these invisible rules of hierarchical social bullshit, instead of just treating other people the way you like to be treated. And the people who play the game could very much like the game, and if they've had to kiss some people's butt to have people in the world invest in them and work with them, and if they don't think you are playing the game, they could very much be in their ego about the fact that you're not playing the game. And it's like, I'm going to let you people all play that game together and kiss each other's butt, and I'm going to go find some people who don't want to play games, who just appreciate people who treat them in a just and fair and loving way. And I don't care about how much money you got or your social status or whatever. You know, it's kind of like that hopeful, believing spirit of the pages, like kids. Do you want to play? You know, do you want to go have fun? Do you want to be friends? Oh, we can't. I'm of this social class, or I'm of this religion, or I'm of this ethnicity. It's like, what? And that's where it's kind of all this man made bullshit. And that's high vibe energy. There's a higher truth and justice to aspire to. But some other people don't, they might present themselves as being like a pillar of society and that they look at life from a higher perspective, but they don't. Some of them. And they might not want to see the truth of all these things that manipulate them. So there you go, Capricorn. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.